Hello, I'm Pam Hoffman, Everyday Spacer.
I'm Jeff Miller, 2040 Now Outfitters.
At Everyday Spacer, we show regular folks how to personally and directly participate in space exploration, science, and astronomy. We're here on Friday nights at 9 p.m. Pacific time, midnight Eastern time, and 5 a.m. Saturday in Germany. We're broadcasting live from Thousand Oaks in California. Thank you so much for joining us. And I would like to know if anyone got to take more of a tour of JPL after our last show. We wanted to see if you found anything interesting. It is chock full of information.
Okay, and tonight's guest is Fraser Cain. He's in Vancouver Island, Canada, which beautiful place. I was up there for the World's Fair, if you're old enough to remember that.
Oh, sure. Expo 86.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep. He's the publisher of Universe Today, co-host of Astronomy Cast, and host of Weekly Space Hangout.
And you just told us you were the founder of Cosmo Quest.
I was one of the founders. Yeah. Pamela Gay is the one who runs it, but we sort of came up with the idea in a hotel after Dragon Con.
Oh, yeah. Very good. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm very familiar with that kind of thing. All right. So, yeah.
Okay. So let's just get this started off as just an example of an everyday spacer who really kind of made it big. If you look at everything that you're doing. So what got you involved in space? What got you interested in space?
I've always been into space, even as like a little kid. My parents were, I was pretty fortunate. I lived in a fairly dark place, and both my parents were very interested in science fiction. They'd watched the moon landings, and they took me out to go see meteor showers and things like that. And so when I was about 14 or so, I bought my own telescope and was writing a space and astronomy column for my high school newspaper. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty funny how much space has been a part of my life. I don't know if you remember. Do you remember Our Universe? It was this hardcover book that's really cool spaceship on it on the front, and then it was like a Time Life series of books. And so I had this. Yeah, and so I had this Our Universe, and it was just like completely dog-eared, and I just read it over and over and over again. And I was completely obsessed with space.
So what was your first telescope? Do you remember your first telescope?
Yeah, I had a 4-inch Newtonian that I had bought out of a place out of Vancouver, and I had done like a bunch of research, and that was the one that I could afford, and it had a alt-azimuth mount, so it didn't have a equatorial mount, so it was a bit of a pain to, like a Dobsonian's mount, but but the telescope was, hinged in the middle. And so it was, you have to do the zigzag if you're going to try and follow a planet in the sky. So, so that was my first telescope, and it was great. I mean, I loved it. I learned the night sky with that telescope. I learned where all the constellations are. I learned how to observe the planets. I watched, I looked at Jupiter, I watched Mars go through an entire season, was observing the moon, seeing some of the different features at different times. And then I also found a lot of the, globular clusters and nebulae and open clusters and things like that. So,
you know where stuff is in the sky. I love that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I know most of my constellations at this point, the ones that we see here.
Right. And, Cliff just came in and he said hi, and we really love to see Cliff. We hosted him out here a few years ago, and Cliff came from Australia at the time. So he actually is in the other hemisphere and knows those constellations. Yeah.
I was in Australia about 3 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And I was there for an astronomy conference, and my wife and I, we rented an RV and then just drove around the sort of the eastern side of Australia. It's actually a very big place. But
Yes,
get away
it
from
is.
the big, yeah, get away from the big cities. And the skies there are like nothing else I've ever seen. Like, I'm pretty fortunate. I've got pretty good skies where I live. Milky Way, no problem.
Right.
But yeah, to see those skies, it's next level. The Milky Way goes straight overhead. So I don't know about you guys, but for me, I've got to look at the Milky Way down toward the core of the Milky Way, down towards the horizon.
Oh, cool.
But when you're in Australia, it's right overhead. Saturn, all the planets, they were just like, directly over your head. It was just amazing. Yeah. Yeah, it's such a beautiful place.
That sounds great. Where else have you been, Fraser? Do you like go places and take your stuff and?
Well, I don't take my stuff. I've been all over. I've been to Iceland. Paul Sutter and I did a tour, sort of an adventure tour to Iceland, and we tried to chase the northern lights. I've been to Costa Rica. I've been to the Middle East, lots of places in Europe. I was supposed to go to Japan. I should have been in Japan about this time last year, but because of the coronavirus, I had to cancel the trip. So that's the one place that I haven't been is Asia so far.
And there's David. He is the other guy that came a few years ago. They both came for the total solar eclipse that ran across the states.
Oh yeah, yeah. We went to go see that. Although where we were, we didn't actually see totality. We just missed it. It was like cloudy, and then the clouds opened up right at the last second, and we saw the last moments of totality. So I don't really feel like I've seen a true proper total solar eclipse.
Are you an eclipse chaser, Fraser?
Well, I've only seen, like I said, that was the only one. The 2017 was the only one that I've actually gone and tried to chase. So
okay.
Yeah,
okay.
So we're going to try to make it to Texas for the 2024 one, and
Great.
You can see, you saw the 2017 one, right?
Well, we saw it from here in Southern California.
So you didn't see totality.
Partial. No, not even.
Yeah, I definitely get. I mean, totality is something else. Like.
Yes,
99% is not the same as totality. Totality is you're now transported to another universe of weirdness, and I can see why people chase them, because once you see one, it transports you to this other place, this moment that you just can't experience anywhere else at any other time.
David says he's coming to the States in 2024. David, where are you going to land? Are we going to see you? We'll wait for him to write. And let's see. Hi, Pam and Jeff and Fraser. How are you? Okay, what's the difference between a nebula and nebulae? I think the British spelling, right?
It's just pluralization.
Oh, okay, it's plural. Okay,
yeah,
got it.
Yeah, one nebula and two nebulae. One supernova and two supernovae.
Ah, okay. And Cliff, what do you say? Oh, yeah, you're coming to the States too. Okay, cool.
Oh.
That'd be great. We'd love to see them. We actually, it was kind of a happy accident. Their plans kind of fell through. They were flying into LAX anyway, and the people that were here, they were going to kind of host them, had a family emergency. And so he reached out to me on my meetup. David reached out to me on my meetup, and he said, hey, we need help. And I'm like, yes! So we hosted them here for 3 days. Found them. Okay, you're going to come and live with us. Great. It will be very crowded in this little apartment. Cliff is laughing at us. All right. So, yeah, tell us about the different groups you're part of. And it's like, I heard at least 4 names already. How do you juggle all that?
Well, so my main job is Universe Today, and that's the space and astronomy news website that I run. I started that in 1999, so I've been running that for 22 years now.
Wow.
And, in the beginning, when I say running, for the first, say, 12 years of it was just me writing all the articles on the website. And then, I had Nancy Atkinson join me around that, about 10 years ago. And then more writers came on board. At this point, I think we've got about 15 writers that work with Universe Today. We do about, we're visited by tens of millions of people a year. It's sort of one of the top space news websites on the internet. Well, and so that's my main job. And then everything else is the fun.
And of course, Universe Today, we remember from Babylon 5. It's like, wait,
Yes.
Did Fraser get that from Babylon 5 or did
It was a total accident. Yeah. So when I was coming up with the website, even back then in 1999, it was hard to get domain names. And so I just took every space name and every time name and I put them together and just looked for what was available that I could register as a domain name. And so it could very well have been Space Today or Universe Now or whatever, but it ended up being that Universe and Today were the two terms that were available to me.
That is fascinating.
Yeah. But so Universe Today is the main thing, and then Astronomy Cast is the podcast that I do with Dr. Pamela Gay, and we started that. That's been going for about 15 years now. We started that, back at the beginning, that first round when podcasts were starting to happen, and I just really wanted to learn how to do audio, and so was introduced to Pamela, and she's just so knowledgeable, and it was just like getting a personalized astronomy PhD program from her week after week after week. And so we just recorded episode 604, which is great. And then the weekly Space Hangout, which of course you are one of our co-hosts on, is this show that we do every week. We've been doing this for literally time has no meaning anymore. So we've been doing this for a long time. And it's just like a weekly news roundup with with an ever-changing cast of co-hosts, science communicators. And the purpose, although the purpose of the show is to let people know what the news is going on. We bring on special guests and so on. But really the purpose is to train the next generation of science communicators. So the purpose is to take people who have an interest in science communication, space and astronomy communication, but don't have any practice, and give them an outlet where, in a fairly safe environment, I will grill them about space and astronomy, and just week after week after week, get people comfortable being on camera, getting used to the technology, getting better and better, and getting more professional in what they do, which they can then take that and do other interviews and so on. And so we it's like this revolving doors. We bring in more journalists, teach them the ropes. They level out. They don't need us anymore because they're too famous and popular. And then we, invite some new people to come in and so on. So
it's made a big difference for me. I think I've been at it for almost 2 years now.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to ask you, when are you stop being a junior journalist, and what is the promotion? What do you get promoted to?
It's like, people leave us, people quit us, right? So it's like,
I see.
Yeah. So, we put out the call every year or so for new journalists to come and join. Just anybody who wants practice being on camera, communicating science. Because it's really hard. Yeah, it's really hard to get that kind of experience.
Yeah, and it's awesome. So any of our viewers, if you would like to do that, let us know. I think. Well, in fact, I think it's easy to get on there, right?
I think we have a candidate right now because.
You're gonna have to talk to Nancy, who's the producer, because she's trying to kind of manage and manage the name. So I think we only sort of open up a couple of slots every year, so it's not It's not that open, but we definitely have a couple of people who leave us every year as they get too successful, and then and we have room for more people as well, and then they get to go through the training process and keep going. And what else did you say that I did? I forget. And I do I do my YouTube channel where I do the Guide to Space, where I do sort of short videos on different topics as well as interview astronomers and astronauts and all kinds of people. And these are all mostly just for my fun. Like I really enjoy connecting with the audience, answering questions and interviewing people, because I then use that for all the work that we do with Universe Today. So
yeah, and much like you hear, we really love to bring on really everyday spacers, regular folks who have figured out how to do something cool with space exploration. And we just kind of have a conversation and ask them some questions and get the ball rolling. And then we answer questions from our audience, and we just love it.
Yeah. What are my thoughts on embargoes? That's a good question. David knows my site. That's funny.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I can explain that if you want.
Sure.
Man, this is definitely kind of in the weeds here, but embargoes are I'm not sure if you've got any, but when you are in the news industry, people will give you news, but it's embargoed. Often it'll come from like the science journals, and they won't let you report the news for like a week, so that you can research it and understand all the background information, and then everybody's allowed to release the news at the same time. And I was seeing that these embargoes were being used to control journalists. They were just, control like who got to be a journalist and who didn't get to be a journalist. And so I could get access to the story, but another person who I had an enormous amount of respect for couldn't get access to the story. And it just made me livid. And so I, at a certain point, I just said, okay, that's it. We're just done with embargoes. Like if you've got news, just tell us after it's public. I don't want to know in advance that you've got some piece of news. And it kind of freaked people out for a little while there because those are the rules, is that you get the embargoed news releases. And so every time someone would send me an embargoed news release, I'd say, I'm sorry, I can't look at this. Tell me when it's publicly available. And, and I had to train all the journalists on the team on Universe Today that this is how we roll. Yeah. And they're used to it now, but you sort of feel like you're in the out crowd for a while there. But it's still the policy. I still think it's great. If anything, I'm seeing less reliance on embargoes these days because it's just such a stupid system.
And that's
I know. I break all the rules. Yeah.
But that's how things change. Somebody decides, no, I'm not doing that anymore. And then
you could see it like in this world where it used to be that there was newspapers, Scientific American and CNN and, it's legitimate news. But now, it's bloggers and it's people like you and it's people like me. And it's just like it allowed the people who were generating the news to really just decide who got the information and who didn't. And I didn't like it.
So it's very much more democratic now. And just want to say hi to Ron and Seth and, of course, David and Cliff and who else do we have here tonight? Thanks so much for joining us, everybody. Kishore, very cool. Really love having you. And if you have questions, absolutely let us know.
That's how I roll. Questions, hit me.
Yeah. Anything else you want to share with us, Fraser? And kind of just to demonstrate to people what the possibilities are. What's out there for you if you really want that? If you think of something new, what kind of thing? Last thoughts for you.
Yeah. Well, I think that. There's a lot of people who want to go and get a job in astronomy, and so they want to go and get their PhD in astronomy, and then go and get a position at a university or NASA or whatever. And the reality is that there aren't a lot of jobs. There's there's 200 people applying for every one position that comes up. Yep. And so it's really tricky to get work in that field. And so a lot of people do end up being communicators, or they go into other fields that are similar. So I'm a huge fan of just science communication, of helping to educate the public. And the more that we can learn and know as science communicators, a better job we can do to help promote science to the public, and the more time that the scientists can spend doing the science. So yeah, I think there's still a huge need for more people to do what I do.
And I just love how easy it is. I am really operating on so little. I do not even have a ring light like, they show. We just have a simple webcam.
Yeah.
It has a microphone. And, we're sitting here basically in our living room where we eat our dinner every day. And we're running a show every Friday. It is absolutely so easy now.
Yeah, it's the way.
Look at all the things that are part of this venue. Yeah. This is StreamYard. And there is a free version. Now, I got a deal last December. I'm paying like $9 something a month, almost $10. And I get to broadcast to 3 places as I'm doing it live. And then I'll go in and I'll share it to all my other Facebook pages and whatnot. But people can come and see me on YouTube, on my Facebook page. And I'm an admin on the Yuri Gagarin page. So I broadcast to there too, because that's a pretty good audience. And it's just easy. It's so
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that now the technology is available to everybody. Yep. And so now if you've got something to share, if you've got a voice that you want to try and reach out and bring value to people, you can just do it. There are no gatekeepers. You don't have to ask anybody if you can do your show. You just do your show.
Mhm.
Yep, absolutely. And if you don't want to do a show, come on a show like mine. I'm fighting Seth. We got to get Seth out here. Seth's a true scientist, so that would be really cool. Someday, Seth, I'm going to get you. Let's see. What does Cliff say? What do you think about
all the internet sats going up in space?
Oh, yeah. We talk
Starlink.
weekly space Hangout a lot.
Yeah, we talk about that quite a bit. Yeah, so Pam knows I've got a Starlink, and it's wonderful. It works like a charm. I'm getting very good internet bandwidth, both up and down. And of course, the problem is that it's going to make astronomy a lot harder. So it's sort of like, on the one hand, only 1 billion people on planet Earth have access to high-speed internet. Like, the rest of the people on Earth have mediocre, crappy internet connections. Like about half of planet Earth is just not online at all. And so we need new, innovative ways to reach the last mile, the corners of the globe where it's harder and harder to get internet into. And like, just here in Canada, we have so many people in small towns that are way out in the hinterlands of Canada, where you just can't get broadband. They just, they have dial-up if they're lucky. A phone, they can make a phone call if they're lucky. And now suddenly they've got broadband speed in the middle of this tiny town in the Arctic. And I'm sure it's the same for you in Australia, that you've got these little towns that are all over Australia that no big internet provider or even cell phone provider wants to provide service. And so like, on the one hand, you've got this incredible technology that's going to be connecting planet Earth, and whether it's Starlink or whether it's going to be what Amazon is doing with their Kuiper constellation, the Chinese are doing one, the Russians are doing one. So that's all to the benefit of humanity, I think. But on the flip side, there's no question that these things are streaking through pictures taken by a lot of these big observatories. And if you've got a Starlink trail going right through the galaxy that you're trying to observe, you've lost your data. And so we're seeing this just slow, steady degradation of astronomy because of these satellites. And the reality is it's a complicated situation, and there's no easy answer.
Well, weren't the airplanes interfering with observatories?
Of course. I mean, anyone who does any astrophotography has had airplane trails and satellite trails running through their pictures for a very long time. So it's not like it's unusual. And for us, for those of us who do astrophotography, it's no big deal, right? We take a bunch of frames, we throw out the one that has the trail going through it. But for astronomers, like, who are actually doing work, they are going to have to, they're going to have to take data for a longer period of time. And so it's just going to make their lives just that much worse. I mean, there will be tens of thousands, but it's not just to watch a movie. No. For communities here in Canada, they're getting access to education for the first time. They're getting access to healthcare, live healthcare, because they can't, they don't have a doctor in their town, and so they can do telemedicine. Just all the stuff that you do every day, accessing the internet.
And we take it for granted.
We totally take it for granted. Imagine it was all just taken away from you. And every time you wanted to do anything on the internet, you had to go and grab your phone and find the highest place around and maybe be able to get a text message in and out every now and then. That's the best you could do. No, it's
my solution, I say we just go out there above it to do astronomy.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, for sure. I mean, a lot of people said, like, we should just get space telescopes. And Elon Musk even said, we'll get you some space telescopes. But the reality is that ground-based telescopes have a big role to play. So there's no easy answer to this.
Right. And let's get back to David's question, too. How much longer do you envision Astrospace magazines, right, can continue to publish? I see. Yeah.
Like the dead tree ones?
Well, I think we have your answer right there.
Yeah. I started Universe Today, again, in '99 as a purely digital thing. Like I've never printed a magazine. I've never killed a tree for my news. And I expected that transition would happen faster. Like I'm amazed that old media has hung on this long and still cast this shadow. I sort of imagine it as like this, these great big dinosaurs tromping around, flailing about, and we're just like these little, these little mammals in their shadows attempting to stay alive while they just sort of go through their death knells. So that's where we're at with the publishing industry, and you can see it. I mean, it's all digital now. Digital is the main thing now, and I think for a lot of the traditional publishers, they were expecting, well, we'll keep printing magazines. When that gets too expensive and doesn't seem to work, then we'll shift over to digital. But digital has been going for 20 years, and it is dog eat dog over here. Like it's rough to run digital publication, and so they're finding they can't make that transition.
Well, it's rough to make money at it, I think, is the thing.
Yeah. And my office is exactly as big as yours is. Like the amount of space that you have set aside for Everyday Spacer corporate headquarters is exactly how much space I have for Universe Today headquarters.
Right here, man. It's all right here.
Yeah, exactly. It's
right here.
It's this much. This is it. Everything else is done online or just done, at the kitchen table.
Yep, exactly.
Also, time to press for digital is much faster than time to press for print.
Yeah, and we can edit. I mean, there's a million reasons why digital is the best. Yeah,
I think that there are people out there that just still like to read the newspaper kind of thing. I mean, that's the tactile sensation of reading the newspaper.
Was it all of a sudden American? I'm not American.
Ask him to say a boat.
Yeah, oot and a boot. Yeah.
Oot and a boot.
Yeah, Lieutenant Chesterfield.
And you stick those using words.
Yeah, I don't know what that's about.
Color.
Yeah. You can't hear the OU in when I say color and honor, but I promise. God save the Queen. Come on, we're Canadian.
It's in there.
We're the Commonwealth.
Like the ad says, it's in there.
Yeah.
All right, so we will have held some more questions, but I'm going to go ahead and start with what we have. We basically just say what's in the night sky for this coming week. That'll be like tonight through May the 7th. The moon is 19 days old, and last quarter moon is on May the 3rd. It's a dialect. Okay. Thanks, David.
It's like a New Zealander and an Australian. That's the difference.
There you go.
We can tell. We can recognize each other's accents.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so 4 of the first 5 days in May are what I'm thinking of as Spacer days. We've got May 1st, which is National Space Day. May 2nd, Astronomy Day. May 4th, Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you. And May 5th is National Astronaut Day. I mean, that's 4 of the first 5 days in May. And then, of course, there's May 11th, which is National Twilight Zone Day.
Wait a minute. I feel like I've heard all this already.
Yeah, Wednesday when I was on your show. But
Yeah.
I'm not going to go into too many of these others because there are, a few things that are significant this week. But what I really want to know is, have you in our audience heard of these before? And are you going to do anything to celebrate? I think we should do something to celebrate personally. I mean, that's 4 of the first 5 days in May that are space related. And it's like the biggest cluster in the year, I think.
Well, the big one is Yuri's Night. That's the one that I try to participate or tried. And, now with the COVID and we're all stuck at home, it's a lot harder. But Yuri's Night is so cool.
They had a pretty big deal online April the 10th. That was the Saturday before.
Yeah.
It was kind of like an LA-based thing. Of course, I hear about that because I'm near LA.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we've got May the 2nd, Pluto and Moon are in conjunction. Of course, the moon is visible naked eye. Pluto requires optical aid. These are going to be in the morning before sunrise in the east, though. May 3rd, like we said, is the last quarter moon. May 3rd is also the day that Saturn and the moon are in conjunction. Now, these are going to rise at midnight, and Saturn and the moon will be visible for the rest of the night. And they are both easily seen naked eye. We have a meteor shower, May the 5th. And basically, it's like May the 4th into May the 5th, kind of midnight and later. You'll see the Eta Aquariids. and they are sort of radiating from Aquarius. They've predicted 10 to 60 an hour most years, and these are from the debris field of Comet 1P and Comet Halley. David
That's
has
cool.
a question. Yeah, I think that is very cool. We got one more. May the 6th, Neptune and the Moon are in conjunction, and you want to look for this late into the, what does it say? Let me read it. Look for this late at night into the morning before sunrise in the east. The moon, of course, is easily seen. Neptune requires optical aid. All right, David, what do you say? What are you guys going to, oh yeah, you know what? That's, the thing is, David, it's largely over the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah, it's us. We got it. This is our eclipse this time.
Well, Australia is going to have a better view than we are actually, Fraser.
I think my favorite lunar eclipse that I had fairly recently was there was one that it was timed perfectly so that I was lying in bed under the covers and I could watch the whole eclipse. The timing was perfect. So it just so the full moon was going past my window and it was in eclipse and I just watched it for the whole time from bed. It was it was perfect as opposed to going outside in the cold, which I'll probably do this year.
So I tend to name stuff like that. So like I've driven in places that are dark, and so that's auto astronomy. And I've been swimming in, what did I call that one? Because I was at the eclipse in 1991. We drove from Ohio, northern Ohio, all the way across the country in an RV, crossed the thing there, the water. What's the body of water there? The
Rio Grande.
No, it's not the Rio Grande. It's I forget.
Gulf of Mexico?
Yes, no, not Gulf of Mexico. That's the other side. Sea of Cortez. Something. And
you were in Mexico. You went from Ohio to Mexico.
Oh, you went to like down the Baja?
In between.
Down the Baja?
Yes, down to Baja, California.
Yeah, okay.
We were based in La Paz, and of course in Hawaii they got clouds. But where we were, we had 7 minutes of beautiful total solar eclipse. This was 1991.
Oh, so you did get a total solar eclipse.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So you know. Yeah, it gets in your brain. Yeah.
And I mean, down in La Paz, it was dark enough at night with the lights on. We could see the globular clusters from the teapot, and it absolutely looked like steam coming out of the teapot. It was really cool. So, that was a crazy trip.
Okay.
Oh, we have some more questions. Good.
Yeah, what is the supernova, and is there any threat to Earth or other planets from this?
If the sun went supernova, it would, but it'll never do that.
But it can't, yeah. No. So a supernova is when a star that's many times bigger than the sun, usually about 8+ times bigger than the sun, or more massive than the sun, dies at the end of its life. And so what happens is the star is forming, our sun is forming hydrogen, turning it into helium at the core. And then when the star runs out of hydrogen, it starts forming helium into heavier elements. And it sort of works its way all the way up the periodic table of elements. Oxygen, neon, and then when it gets to iron, it's not able to pull any more energy out of the stellar material, and so it stops putting out essentially radiation that's keeping the star inflated. And so in a moment, the whole star just collapses in on itself. It implodes. And when that happens, you get all this material falling inward into the core of the star, and then it bounces off the center. It sort of piles up, explodes, and then throws material out into space. And if you were close to a supernova, if you were within a few, say maybe 10 light years of a supernova, you would have a bad day. You would get within about 40 light years is sort of the danger zone. And so at 40 light years, you're going to get a sort of a blast that wipes away the ozone layer of the Earth. And so then we would all get radiated from space. And so it would be a very, very devastating effect. Fortunately, there are no stars that can go supernova within that danger zone of us. So
what's like the closest to us that could possibly go supernova?
There's a few that are within a couple of 100 light years away that could potentially explode as a supernova, but nothing that close.
So being out in the boonies of the galaxy, not a bad thing at this point.
Yeah, but it's believed that could have been a way that that there were mass extinctions in the past. If we had, there's definitely have been supernova gone off that close to the Earth in the past, and it's thought that maybe that caused some kind of extermination event.
There we go.
Beetlejuice,
Yeah, Betelgeuse is 600 light years away. Totally
not
safe.
in that 40 light year zone though. That you
Yeah, exactly. Now the one issue is that if you're staring down the barrel of a star, so some stars when they blow up, they send out these kind of coherent beams that come out the ends, the north and southern poles of them, and if the star is oriented towards us, then it can hit us from a farther distance away. And again, it doesn't look like there are any that are on that kind of orientation. So so far, from what astronomers can tell, none of the stars that could go supernova are close enough. And the handy thing is the stars that could go supernova are big and bright and easy to find.
Yes.
So, they're not hiding.
They're not hiding, no. Yeah, it's funny when you think about, like, when you go outside and you look at the night sky and you look at all those stars, almost all of those stars are big bright stars that could explode as supernova, right? That in fact the regular stars like our sun, we can't see them beyond a couple, we don't see many beyond, say, 10, 15 light years away from us. All the rest, Betelgeuse, 600 light years away. All of these stars are actually huge. And any one of them pretty much explode as a supernova.
Right. So I think we would actually notice is the neutrinos kind of speed ahead and.
Yeah, the cool thing about this is that the neutrinos, like when a supernova goes off, it generates all these neutrinos at the center of the supernova. And the problem is all this stellar material is it's trying to bounce back out. It gets caught up on itself, and so the energy just can't escape because it's trying to pass through all this wreckage of the star that recently imploded. But the neutrinos, as we know, neutrinos are streaming from the sun. You have hundreds of millions of them going through your body right now from the sun. They pass through matter no problem, and so the neutrinos get a head start on that material. And neutrinos move just slightly slower than the speed of light, and so in theory we would get this burst of neutrinos that our detectors would see, and then the supernova. But it has to be close. Like if Betelgeuse did it, then we would see the burst of neutrinos. But beyond that, our detectors probably aren't sensitive enough to find them.
No, we have found them. We've actually found supernova because we've had a neutrino burst and pointed the cameras in that direction. So we have people that way.
Right.
So
I've heard about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's the Supernova Warning Network, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh,
yeah.
David has some.
Yeah. And it's not so much a warning that they're a danger, but it's a warning that, hey, there's something to look at.
Something's coming, yeah. All right.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, 1987, yeah, all right.
Yeah, that's the closest one, and that wasn't even in the galaxy. So we're totally due for a nice close supernova that we should see.
But
very cool.
Yeah, except that I think most of the stars that are anywhere nearby don't appear to be even heading that way.
Well, I mean, there are a bunch that are relatively nearby that are going to blow any day now.
Oh, really? Okay.
But any day now could be now or a million years.
Yeah.
So any day now, astronomically speaking.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought we answered you, Kishore. Nebula, nebulae, singular, plural. I think Kishore is in India, so it could be a language thing there. If you need any more help, Kishore, make sure to let us know.
I am looking at my telescope at one nebula, or I am looking at my telescope at two nebulae, or three nebulae, or four nebulae.
That helps me too. I thought it was actually something else. All right, you want to take us home?
Sure. Okay. If you or someone you know has done something interesting involving space exploration, science, or astronomy, we'd love to share our live. Please join us again next Friday, May 7th. We're getting back to our Citizen Science series with Stardust at Home. Help them find dust tracks from the Stardust mission. And it's really cool because they need the help.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one, folks. You really want to tune in next week. And so I have a question for you, Fraser. Any chance of getting Pamela Gay on our show?
Sure, just ask her. I'm not her manager. I'm not her boss. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I mean, she leads a citizen science project, so she's the perfect person to talk to.
Ooh, what's it called? Is that, you talking about
CosmoQuest. Yeah, CosmoQuest.
Okay. All right, and we haven't really covered that one yet. So
yeah.
I think
So with CosmoQuest, the CosmoQuest citizen scientists mapped out Bennu. They mapped out every single rock on asteroid Bennu where OSIRIS-REx is currently orbiting, and we're able to figure out the best landing site to grab a sample from the asteroid. And so it turns out the asteroid had a lot more rocks than anybody was planning. So the volunteers were really sick of rocks by the time that project was over. But yeah.
So how long did that take to do all that?
Months. Yeah, it took months, and a lot of people spent a lot of time. Like literally anything on the surface of Bennu bigger than your fist, even smaller. Every rock, they mapped every single one on that whole asteroid.
Whew.
Yeah,
Wow.
and then they used that to try and figure out what was a place that was safe, and it was actually pretty dicey to find a place that they could, easily sample from.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that, and we've covered a whole bunch of different things already. Stuff on Mars, and do you remember what else? You can take a picture with the telescope network. That was a really cool one.
Yeah, that's really cool.
There's so many fun things to do out there. Zooniverse has a ton.
Yeah, I was talking to Jessie Christensen from NASA's exoplanet group today, and she was talking about how astronomers who are discovering exoplanets need amateur astronomers to help out to confirm discoveries. And so if you have a telescope with a camera, you can actually help confirm the discoveries of exoplanets and even get your name on science papers. So
cool.
Yes, definitely check that out.
Yeah. All right. Well, folks, we'll answer more questions on the Facebook page and the YouTube page if we find them, and hopefully we'll see you next week. Like I said, we're gonna do Stardust at home. Look for different kind of particles. It's actually embedded in aerogel from when they sent a satellite out. So.
Yeah. And look for Fraser Wednesdays on Weekly Space Hangout.
Right.
Or any of a number of other places.
I'm everywhere. Yeah.
Have you written a book, Fraser? Have you written?
Yeah, we. I don't have the book within arm's reach right now, but Dave Dickinson wrote a book for Universe Today, and I collaborated with him on that.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, right. about space and astronomy.
Because I never hear about you writing a book on the show. So.
Yeah. All
right. Very cool.
Yeah. I don't like writing books. I've written 3 or 4, and I don't enjoy it.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. I don't think I'll ever write another one.
That's okay. It's not for everybody.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Thanks so much, Kishore, for being here. Really appreciate that. Oh, good. Yeah. Thanks so much. All right. So have a great week, people, and we will see you next Friday, May the 7th.
Just one thing to end on. No, David, one is singular.
Nebula, one is plural, one is singular.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a great week.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.